Guys, so I did a video talking about some bands that changed their style for the worse, and in this video I wanted to do a companion video that should be going up back to back within a day or two of bands that changed their style for the better. Bands that changed their genre, their style, their production techniques, vocalizations, whatever it may be, instrumentally, visually, and just got better than the past. And of course this is going to be a very subjective list, and there might be some people that disagree, but I'm going to try to go into my personal opinions on it in my own way, and you guys can let me know your opinions of it, as well as the bands that you personally think got better over time through changing their style or changing their genre or whatever it may be. You can let me know down below. Starting off with Decapitation. I honestly think that they are one of the few bands that have gradually gotten more benefit from a good production style and fine tweaking their style than most bands, and that's a fine tightrope to walk. A lot of bands try to make their production better and they end up sounding lifeless and hollow. I went over that with quite a few of the projects that I talked about in the last video. Decapitation have not dealt with that whatsoever. They have gotten better and better instrumentally, visually, lyrically, and Travis Ryan is always finding ways to innovate his vocal techniques and range, and he is easily, hands down, one of the best vocalists in extreme metal and continues to impress me every single album. And I just think everything about Decapitation has progressively just gotten better and better. They work like a fine oiled machine. I'm just gonna say this next opinion and then run because I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and I know that I'm going to get a million bullets shot at me for it. I don't care how many people try to defend Pantera's glam metal era. It's dog shit. It will always be dog shit, and everything Pantera did after is infinitely better. Bye! How about Motionless in White? I know that there's a lot of nostalgia for a record like Creatures, and I fucking adore that album, as well as Reincarnate, which is probably my favorite Motionless in White album, but I think there is something to be said, and it's the reason I wanted to include them on this list, about commercializing your style, getting a little bit less heavy, and fine-tweaking your production, getting a bigger appeal to your music, but doing so in a way that feels more mature and feels like you're going in a direction that is just better. So Asking Alexandria take fucking notes from Motionless in White, because yeah, they're not making heavy metalcore music, but it's the stand-up and scream sort of thing where I don't expect them to make material like they did on Creatures. And it also helps that they have kind of laid off of the really ghoulish kind of cringy stuff that they used to do in the past, which I know that was their entire gimmick, but kind of like Einstein Kills, I think it missed just as much as it hit. And I don't know, as much as I love those classic bangers from Motionless in White, there's something about the catchiness of their hooks, the catchiness of their riffs, but the well-balanced execution of their heaviness and their death growls and screams and production and all that. It just feels really well made. And I know not everyone is going to agree with that, but I just personally really like the new era of Motionless in White, and I have since Graveyard Shift. A band that a lot of y'all are going to probably not agree with is Ulver. I fucking love the experimental, dark ambient, sort of electronic era of Ulver a lot more than their black metal era. Now don't get me wrong, I think Ulver's black metal era is perfectly serviceable and fine, but that's the very reason that I like their dark ambient take on their music a lot more, because I think Ulver's black metal era felt a lot more kind of basic, and like there wasn't really too much to it that made it stand out, whereas their dark ambient and experimental stuff I just think feels a lot more fulfilling, a lot more fun to listen to, very intriguing, great from a production department, and has a lot of experimentation put into it that makes it interesting for someone like me who is very attracted to dark ambient music and ambient music as a whole, and gets attracted to the soundscape it paints and the atmosphere of it all. I think it's been done in a very tasteful way, and I think it's played to a lot of Ulver's clear strengths with talent. Bad Omens. I will say, when Bad Omens burst on the scene, they burst on the scene as what was seen as a Bring Me the Horizon copycat. Everything about their production and sound and vocals, Noah Sebastian, all that, it sounded a lot like Sempiternal era Bring Me the Horizon, and there were plenty of people that loved them for that because they felt like they finally got the Sempiternal era Bring Me the Horizon back. But I never really thought Bad Omens were like inherently just a Bring Me the Horizon ripoff, and I was a defender that said that they had their own style. But I honestly think that like the Death of Peace and Mind era of Bad Omens, it's gotten them popular for a good reason. They are just a very well-crafted metalcore and post-hardcore band now. I think Noah Sebastian has gotten a lot more confident with his vocals, and I don't think he sounds nearly as strained as he did in the past. And if you liked Bad Omens for sounding very Bring Me the Horizon-esque. You probably won't like how they changed their style, but the baddie core aesthetic of their electronics and the way everything comes together and their hooks and their sensualness, I just really like it. I also love their petty lyricism nowadays. And the next one is going to be very dependent on how you like your music and what genre you like. I'm going to put Carcass here, and as much as I adore their core grind era and the fact that they literally kickstarted that and so much extreme metal, I am a slut for their fucking melodic death metal era. I just think it's more interesting, it's more replayable. I have to be in a very specific mood to listen to a record like Decapitation, whereas I think that their later material, Torn Arteries and Heartwork, are just incredibly crafted records that are some of the best of the decades that they were released, and I absolutely stand by that. While I appreciate and respect what they did for Gore Grind, like I said, I just have to be in a specific mood to listen to that, whereas I can throw on like Torn Arteries and have a blast from start to finish. And it was incredible that they could come out with a record like that this late in their career. But what are the bands that you think changed their style for the better? You can let me know down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear it. There is no wrong answer, and if you agree or disagree with mine, that's perfectly fine. You can let me know. And if you feel the exact opposite about any, that's perfectly fine too. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.